So just to recap, now that we've seen an example of some working code that takes advantage of the concept of enumerations, let's go ahead and recap them real fast. An enumeration is a user-defined type. A user-defined type is a type that isn't built into the language, but still follows the same rules as the types we've already been using, such as Boolean. Meaning, by defining a user-defined type, we are able to create variables of that type. We're also able to use them in return values and parameters and all that fun stuff, just as if it was a built-in type into the language. Next up, an enumeration, the definition of enumeration, starts with the keyword enum, which is short for enumeration, then an identifier, then some curlies, and then a comma delineated list of other identifiers. These identifiers that you place within the enumeration are completely up to you. You may only put a finite amount within them. That's an important distinction. You can't have a variable amount of items within an enumeration. If you're trying to solve a problem that requires you to have a variable amount of data, then you're better off using something like a list. By defining these identifiers within my enumeration definition, I'm constraining the value of any variable of this type to one of these four constants. Now, I call them constants in the English definition of the word. They're constant in that they will never change, and they are simply nothing more special than a named number. But they're not necessarily constants in the sense of the language itself. We haven't discussed constants, so that distinction isn't necessarily that important right now. What is important is that, again, whenever we create a variable of this type that we created, our own custom type, we can only have this variable be of one of these four values, meaning that enumerations, when needed, considerably increase the readability of your code because they allow us to sort of codify the concept of a value that can only be one of four things, or one of 5 things, or one of 10 things, or however many things you want to put in your enumeration.